Hi, I'm live. It is good to see you again. It is wonderful to be live and to have a conversation with you today that's going to take place in a series of hot takes. This, even though it's live, will be available on the Lace on Race website, on YouTube. That's going to be later. But after this live is over, you can definitely find it on the Lace on Race Facebook page, which we call the Takeout Window. It will also be in the bistro. This series has been fully a month in the making. Fully a month in the making because of what we have seen over the last month. I want to talk to you all about cherishing. Here I am talking about something that Black women in particular rarely experience in the greater community, rarely experience in our professional lives, rarely experience in our personal lives, sometimes even with each other, but essential, is essential. There is no way that someone can consider themselves to be a compatriot, a co conspirator. I don't like using the word ally, but it's almost impossible to stand with and for Black women without actively cherishing them. I want to talk to you about a chastisement I got a couple of months ago by one of my detractors who calls me a cult leader, and we don't have to go into that. If you're here and listening to me and you're wondering if I'm a cult leader, well, keep listening. You'll figure it out for yourselves. But this year and a half, particularly, has been very painful for me personally. It is hard to walk in this world, to swim in the soup of racialized and gender oppression when people go for the jugular every day. Your cult leader is making this video about an hour before she's going to show up to her mainline denomination church and be a deacon and then be a financial counter because I'm on the hook this week to be a counter. I think about my mother, who had friends who cherished her, but who lived in a world where she herself was rarely cherished. She died at 82. Um, I, wow, tomorrow makes exactly 1 month. And while I have been thinking about cherishing with various women in the public sphere, Justice, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, and the woman in Russia who is currently, for lack of a better word, rotting in a jail cell while people try to figure out what to do about it, and Jada Pinkett Smith. But right now, for this introduction into cherishing, I want to stick to Bobby. I had the privilege of being in the same school where my mother was an educator. Uh, wasn't always easy for either of us. Mom got um, updates on how I was doing in real time in the teacher's lounge. Mother also had to contend with her being in the classroom herself, had to deal with parents not always trusting her discernment, not always trusting her competency, had to deal with other teachers who were a little bit surprised that this country girl from Arkansas could connect with students in the way that she did. She started out in gifted education. Then she had to deal with me, and I think she thought that one of those special kids is enough, and then she moved over to special ed and ESL. I watched my mother cherish the students that she had, even while she herself was not always cherished. I did a bit of a word study, and I'll talk about it later. I did a bit of a word study about cherishing with a group of scientists that I am working with in a separate Facebook group, a dedicated Facebook group. And I got to tell you, it's a pleasure to be able to do that. But I brought up some words that are synonyms of cherishing that, for the most part, Black women rarely enjoy. How often are we admired? How often are we appreciated? How often are we treasured? How often are we sheltered? How often are we valued? How often are we venerated? And don't come to me with women who are dead. How often are we venerated and honored and, yes, succored in real life, in real time, when we are needed? That is a really, really, really big deal. A couple of months ago, the gentleman who decided that I was completely out of pocket and inappropriate, I don't know if he's truly a pink man. He uses a pseudonym. They use a pseudonym and a fake thumbnail. So I don't know if he's a man or not. I don't even know if he's Caucasian or not. And I think that that works here for a couple of reasons. Insofar as cherishing is a privilege that Black women don't often experience from white people, within even people of color cohorts, other BIPOC, including other Black people. We are rarely cherished in the ways that we deserve. Talk about that later. But one of the things that struck me was this guy taking me to task and calling me a cult leader for daring to assert that I should be cherished and succored. Newsflash, I should be cherished and succored. I should be held well. I should be encouraged and lifted up. I should be affirmed and acknowledged and seen, and so should every other Black woman on the planet. Devaluating us is dehumanizing us, and that is what makes it easy, and we'll get to it later. This is just the intro. We'll get to it later. That is what makes it possible for a justice to be called a pedophile during a confirmation hearing. We are not cherished. And for people who supposedly were on their side, with the exception of Cory Booker, who let it happen, we are not cherished. It's the same thing for the young woman languishing in a Russian prison, while everyone is trying to figure out what to do, wringing their hands and scratching their heads. And I wonder if there would be this level of inertia and uncertainty if she were pink. If we would have not stopped the train and made sure that she was taken care of well. And for Jada Pinkett Smith, while people are talking about the altercation between the two men, where's Jada? Jada was not cherished. And now the Academy has censored her husband for 10 years as opposed to censoring the man who created and committed violence against Jada. Make no mistake, I am a committed pacifist. I do not believe in or condone violence for violence. But we would make a mistake, a grave mistake, if we automatically thought that the verbal violence visited upon Ms. Pinkett Smith was lesser than the slap. As someone who has lived in a state of trauma because of verbal assaults that started in February and frankly have not at all let up, I can tell you from my own perspective, I wish Holly had slapped me across the face so hard my teeth rattled. I wish she'd broken my glasses. I wish she'd shattered my jaw. Anything as opposed to 15 months of sustained secondary trauma every day, every day, every day. Now let's widen this out. Let's pan this out to what Black women have to deal with on the daily. Thankfully, the vast majority of them don't have to deal with Holly and her compatriots. But they deal with slights and denigration and humiliation every day by bad actors, and then by the people who like to think of themselves as Switzerland, who say nothing. We're going to talk about whether or not you are a Cory Booker or are you the rest of the Democratic caucus in that confirmation hearing who said nothing, or when they said something, they spoke to Justice Brown Jackson's resilience. We're going to talk about that later. And we're going to talk about the toxic resilience that is the direct result of lack of esteem, lack of succoring, lack of cherishing. We're going to talk about it all. Put your comments down here. I want a robust conversation. We're going to be talking about this. This live is definitely here on Facebook. Again, it'll be on all platforms. And I would like robust conversation on all of it. If you like what you're seeing, if you want more of it, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button here on Facebook. You can do live, and then you can click for notifications. Same with YouTube. To a smaller extent, same with Instagram. We have got to talk about our failure to hold Black women well. I have said for years, that Black women are ground zero in the fight for racial justice. It is way past time for Black women to continue to be carved out of having their humanity and their dignity affirmed. And again, don't come to me for the few Black women that white people decide are worthy of esteem after their death, and the even fewer that are worthy of esteem when they're still alive. We're coming into the 2020 midterms. Every single Black and brown and non-white woman that came into the halls of power at the federal level, Congress, at the state and regional level, and at the local level, most of them are going to be up for re-election this year. And if not this year, then the year after. If we do not learn to cherish the women that we said, run, run, run in 2020 during the Black Spring, we do not have the right to say whether or not we won or lost elections for ya. Black women have done the heavy lifting in Democratic politics as long as I've been alive, and that's a while. You need to stop casting us out into the wolves. You need to take risks on our behalf, like Cory Booker. You need to stand up for Jada Pinkett. If you have not written, and we'll talk about it later, if you have not written or emailed or called your lawmakers and your decision makers to force them, to exhort them to care for the woman in Russia, you're not cherishing. You're not succoring. Let's do the work together. Cherishing and succoring Black women is absolutely part of a racial justice practice. And it's also true for your favorite cult leader. We should not be vilified by anyone, especially white men, for daring to be seen and loved and honored. We'll talk more. We're going to start with my subdued elation about Judge Brown Jackson. I have done what everyone else has done. I have posted every meme. I have rejoiced on Facebook. But a part of me feels subdued. A part of me feels that the hazing, that's a word I use with intention, that the hazing that the justice endured in order to get to the other side was out of pocket. And the silence of those who then rejoiced after it was all over and cited her resilience. No, if you're not willing to walk with us in the crucifixion, in the crucible, you don't get to celebrate with us at the resurrection and the redemption. We'll talk about that more. But I think it's important to ask yourself, are you willing to walk with us and hold us well? I don't care how flowery your prose is. I don't even care if you like us. I care that your praxis, that your practice is enfolded within honoring the women who have done the heavy lifting for American ideals. For the last 158 years. Part 2 is coming.